I have, for the last 16 years, been researching the National Archives in Kew on Cyprus and Anglo-Greek relations. I'm a purist historian. I believe and think that the only serious way of understanding how relations work between states is through the very hard scrutiny of documents, not through silly theories. Now, I have some fairly strong views about this, but before I mention them, I will tell you what my main books on Cyprus are. And my first one, published by I.B. Towers, is called Cyprus: A Modern History. This was followed recently by Cyprus: Diplomatic History and the Clash of Theory in International Relations, about which I'm going to talk. My very latest book, that's just come out, is called Britain and Cyprus: Key Themes and Documents Since World War II. Now, let me talk about Cyprus: Diplomatic History and the Clash of Theory in International Relations. This book is an attempt, successful I think, not only to bring the very latest documents to the public eye, some of which I obtained with the help of the Information Commissioner, whereby the Foreign Office was forced to courier them to me in Athens because it had been a bit naughty about withholding them. Since the days of the sensible English school of the 60s, much recent IR theory has gone mad, concentrating on the most childish models and so-called conceptual frameworks. Most of the theories clash with each other as well. I think that a theory is in fact a lazy intellectual prison. Most of the theorizers, I'm afraid, are not historians. They pretend to be, they cherry-pick from history, but they in fact depend on their conceptual frameworks, otherwise known in my language as pseudo-intellectual prisons. I think that the more theory, the more stultified and lobotomized the theorists become, without themselves realizing it. The blinder they become. They cherry-pick from history. They avoid the rest. This is why past mistakes are repeated. Worse than that, many of the theorists' minds are often polluted by political ideology and party politics. Now, please note, I'm not talking about all theorists, and I'm not denigrating them. I'm simply saying that the serious study of history to understand relations between states has been ignored for too long, and it is time to get back to basics. Now, basics are tough, basics are difficult. Basics means hard work, something that some of these theorists just don't do. IR, international relations, has now become a big industry. All these universities offer these courses, just like they did with public relations. Now it's international relations, a kind of international public relations, if you like. They try to make it sound very academic. Lots of theories, conflict resolution. All this, let me suggest, also creates a form of wishful thinking whereby people, through the think tanks, which are influenced by governments, even prepare for war when they purportedly are studying to avoid war. We've seen this with all the papers that came out on Iraq, for example, on the Islam, on the Arabs, for years before 9/11, all of which led to the seeking of a new enemy after the fall of the wall. And that new enemy, of course, was international terrorism. It's a very lucrative enemy. And it is accompanied by all kinds of clashing IR theories. I'm not going to list them all, but I will say that one of the most dangerous ones is realism, which for me is one of the most dangerous, because although it states quite clearly that the state is the basis of human organization, this is so obvious that it doesn't even need to be mentioned, but it exaggerates the concept. It says that the world is anarchistic and that you must therefore have the state, and the state, the strong state rather, must rule the weak states. There are many theories and sub-theories. All of this is connected to geopolitics, one of the most dangerous concepts of all. Introduced, let us not forget, by people like Halford Mackinder in Britain, Haushofer in Germany, Kielen as well, as an imperialistic doctrine, grabbed by the Germans as well, given very Nazi connotations, Haushofer, etc., and paradoxically reintroduced through people like Henry Kissinger, of all people, hardly a friend of the Nazis, Kissinger, who escaped to America in 1938, and reintroduced through America. And now geopolitics is all the rage. People love it because people don't like to read, they like to look at maps. Geopolitics imposes artificial borders, economic business borders I call them, on peoples. It destroys natural boundaries, and that's why it's so dangerous. Anyhow, to sum up, and I know I've been very harsh, I'm merely giving people food for thought. I think that most IR theory avoids the most basic factors, and those factors are atavism, the human characteristics such as greed and fear. It wants to be clinical, it wants to be respectable. Theory makes IR respectable, but it's not respectable. International relations, just like public relations, is a rough trade, and you cannot clean it all up by making nice little theories. Because the moment you try to apply these theories, what you've got? War. Take a look at history. For many of these theorists, people are an irritation because they don't behave according to their pseudo-psychological models. They eventually become collateral damage. Great figures are misrepresented. Many of the political realists love Thucydides, for example. They love Machiavelli, but they misrepresent them. A recent book on Thucydides, pure claptrap, almost makes Thucydides a US Civil War general. To finish off, this book I've written actually allows people to look at the very latest papers on Cyprus, using Cyprus as a case study to show how only the serious, deep and hard study of diplomatic documents are what you need as a basis to begin to understand relations between states. This book, and I'll repeat the title, Cyprus, Diplomatic History and the Clash of Theory in International Relations, has just been followed by Britain and Cyprus, key themes and documents since World War II. So in a sense, I have a triptych of books: Cyprus, A Modern History, the one I've just spoken about, and the one on the documents. I'd like to stop now because one could go on and develop all these themes, and I don't wish to attack all theorists, but I do wish to stress that too much theory addles the brain and creates lobotomization and weakness and even war. Thank you very much for listening to me, if you have, and have a good day, week, year and life. Goodbye.